no other automaker can.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you can donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-639-8620. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It'll be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car. And as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now. Call 1-800-639-8620. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-639-8620. That's 1-800-639-8620.
The buzzer has sounded. We are headed to overtime with William Pattison on Fox Sports Knoxville. This is Fan Run Radio.
And here we go, live from the White Claw Hard Seltzer Studios. It's overtime with William Pattison, Max Pennell, and Tyler Barbaras, joining you on a Monday from Knoxville, Tennessee. We appreciate you listening along with us. Plenty to cover over the next hour, including Kevin Durant going to the Houston Rockets. Is it a good fit for Houston? And what will it look like this upcoming season for the Rockets? A little bit later on, we'll talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder winning the NBA Finals last night in what was supposed to be a historic Game 7, but we were stripped of that when Tyrese Halliburton fell on the ground with a brutal injury, a torn Achilles. That derailed what was supposed to be a really, really fun night. We'll talk about both sides of that one. What will the Thunder's legacy be, and how will the Pacers kind of move on from this point? But we'll begin today with Unfaizoned at the Elite 11, as Faizon Brandon had a very impressive showing last week at the Elite 11 Finals. Faizon Brandon in Tennessee football is the best fit between player and team among the Elite 11 quarterbacks, according to ESPN, as Tom Luginbill ranked the best fits for the committed quarterbacks at the annual event, with the Vols and their 5-star future quarterback coming in at number 1. Quote, Tennessee's scheme is plug-and-play friendly, Luginbill wrote, and fits Brandon's big arm and sneaky mobility. Brandon performed well at the Elite 11 Finals and was tabbed as the player with the most upside by On3. And we'll get into how much stock do you take in a player performing well in an event like this? Because we've seen a lot of quarterbacks that, show up to these events where they get graded and they're not playing in pads and they're not going up against SEC defenses, and it's very easy to get a little bit ahead of ourselves. But Faizon Brandon has continued to display what he can be at Tennessee at numerous spots, not just the Elite 11, but there's a reason why this is one of the most highly touted prospects of this class. And he has done this at a ton of different events, whether it be on the high school football field, whether it be at the 24/7 or the, the Under Armour, Next 100, whatever it may be, all those different events. He's continued to show that he can play at a high level. And guys like Tom Luginbill, I take a lot of stock in, because this is what he does for a profession. He eyes these future college football stars and has seen a ton of them come through. So I take a lot of stock in his opinion. Do I take a ton of stock in guys throwing, 70-yard footballs? We saw a guy that used to play for Tennessee a couple of years ago have a lot of success of launching balls in the air.
70 yards could be an understatement.
Well, yeah, and he, Joe Millen would also start grabbing fruits, like he'd grab an orange and start throwing that, 70, 80 yards. So, a lot of that is kind of clickbait and records a lot of views on YouTube and stuff like that. But I think what I've seen from Brandon is that he's extremely gifted. He's got a good arm, and he's continued to be consistent with his performances. So I do take some stock in it. We'll welcome in Max Pennell. Welcome back, Max Pennell,
Yes, sir.
that is.
Happy to be here, William.
To the Overtime crew. And Max, what do you make of the Luganville comments, and how much stock do you take in an event like this?
Well, it's certainly not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, I don't know how many bad things I've heard come out of an Elite 11 camp. I feel like it's mostly positive. But I'm just taking a quick look here. 2015 on, I excluded the last 2 years because those guys are still a little young, or last year, those guys are still a little younger. But the Elite 11 MVPs, let's go in order here. 2015, Shea Patterson. Okay, college quarterback, clearly was nothing special. He won some games in college. Tua, top 5 pick, Heisman winner, all that. Justin Fields, another first-round draft pick, playoff quarterback. Spencer Rattler. Took him to get to South Carolina to kind of find his footing. He's started in the NFL already. Yeah. Was a draft pick. I'd say he was a good college quarterback. 2019, C.J. Stroud. I could wax poetic about him for a long time. Yeah. Already offensive rookie of the year in the NFL. 2020, Caleb Williams, last year's #1 pick. Great college quarterback. Didn't win a whole lot. Not really his fault. Cade Klubnik, 2021. Still looking for him to take that next step, but I think this year we are going to see it. He's definitely a good college quarterback, a guy that any fan, I think, would take. 2022, Jackson Arnold. So in that list there's 2 guys that really didn't pan. Jackson Arnold, I don't want to close the book on him, but he has not lived up to his billing as Elite 11 MVP. And then you have to go all the way back to Shea Patterson to find one that you can't say was a bona fide great college quarterback. So I think all the stuff coming out of Elite 11 is good. Him playing well there obviously bodes well based on the track record of those guys. I do, hesitate a little bit to say, okay, this is all I needed to hear to say he's going to win a national title at Tennessee. But he's doing all the things you can ask for. I think that's what you said as well. He's checking the boxes. You certainly want to hear things like this as opposed to the opposite. We saw a guy like George McIntyre kind of fall down the recruiting boards during his senior campaign. Brandon has not done that yet, or hopefully never will. Yeah. So I think he's doing all you can ask for. He's checking all the boxes, and he's giving you every reason as a Tennessee fan, supporter, whatever, to be excited about this guy coming to campus here in, a year and a half?
Yeah. I mean, and also, and we'll dive more into this in a minute, but there are going to be opportunities for him to showcase what he could do possibly at a very, very early point in his Tennessee career. Tyler, welcoming you to the show now. What do you make of this? Do you agree with Max and what he's saying, or do you take a little bit less stock?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the track record of all those guys, and it lines up. It's very encouraging. And I'm looking at Faizon's tape here from the camp, and I mean, man, he can sling it. Like, lightning quick release. Reminds me of Brett Favre, Phillip Rivers in a way. Sure. He has a really quick arm path up, has a lot of torque. He, rotates his hips. He's just a prototypical quarterback that can translate to any level, it seems like. And he's been doing this for so long, obviously being a 5-star, a top recruit. And I also think he'll just fit the scheme, too, really well at Tennessee. But all of the signs are encouraging. It's all very nice to see. And I think that the sky's the limit for this kid. You look at all the prototypical quarterbacks in the NFL now. They're all guys that are mobile. They can move. They can get outside the pocket. But they also have an arm on them. And I feel like the next step for a lot of these young quarterbacks is being able to throw outside the numbers rather than inside. You kind of saw that with a guy like Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. Sure. Early on, they could move rocket of an arm, but the accuracy isn't there. And I think Faizon is a perfect example of someone that, with the proper retooling and with the proper coaching, he could be a premier quarterback in the NCAA.
Brandon, the 6'3.5" standing 195-pound quarterback out of Greensboro, North Carolina, is a 5-star prospect in the On3 industry ranking, coming in at number 13 overall in the 2026 class. He's the number 3 quarterback in the country. Only 5-star Jared Curtis and 5-star Dia Belair rank ahead of Brandon, and is the number 1 overall player in the state of North Carolina, where Tennessee has had a lot of success over the last couple of years and bringing in some top-tier talent, James Pierce Jr. being one of those. But flipping and focusing on Faizon's time here at Tennessee, how much pressure is on him as a highly rated recruit coming in after Nico Iamaleava, who, before he even had his debacle over, a couple months ago, a little bit of an underwhelming first year as a starter. And I think there are a couple of different things here. The timing is particular here because Nico's gone. Everyone kind of understands that this year is going to be a little bit of a retooling. Just kind of threw it together. Joey Aguilar, we'll see how good he is. Or if Jake Merklinger gets the start, we'll see how that goes. But everyone's kind of giving, maybe not a pass per se, because you never want to just tank a season and say we're passing. But I feel like there's a little grace. When Brandon arrives, that's the guy that people have been waiting to see and have been waiting to arrive for a while. Similar to Nico. Everyone was anticipating his arrival. But Brandon could be put in a situation where he could start day one or be in the conversation to start day one. So there's going to be pressure on him, I think, more so in year two if he is a starter next season. But I feel like just the way Nico went out, the 5-star quarterback, now has a little bit of a memory in the back of everyone's head that Nico wasn't that impressive. Do we really – how much of a leash do we give another 5-star prospect that comes in and maybe has some growing pains early? I feel like if Nico played this year out, you would have given Brandon some more grace, considering Nico could have had a bounce-back season, improved from last year. But now I feel like the leash is a little bit shorter.
Yeah, I do think you make a good point this year. And I think this year, if that's what you're alluding to, the fact that this year I think the fan base kind of collectively understands the bar's a little lower.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to call it a rebuild. I think there's enough talent around the quarterback position and some of the other positions to have a good foundation. The conference is going to make it more difficult, but no one's going out there and saying this team's going to win double-digit games, they're going to win a playoff game, etc. Be great if they did. Love to be wrong about that. So I think that ratchets up the expectations or the pressure on Brandon when he gets to campus, because we're going to be, if it plays out the way fans think it will, they'll be coming off a year that was a little underwhelming. And then now here's the 5-star to kind of, okay, all we were missing was that quarterback because Aguilar was just kind of okay. And there's going to be a lot of pressure on him. I do think starting as a freshman in the SEC, no matter who you are, is really difficult. And I think we saw Jackson Arnold got a taste of that. And
DJ Lagway.
Yes, plenty of guys did, even though he was a redshirt freshman.
Yeah.
But I do think the whole Nico debacle, if that's what you want to call it, will certainly, I think, have fans a little more hesitant, I hope, to kind of crown him before he's really accomplished anything. I think we saw that Nico game against Chattanooga and said, man, this guy's going to win a Heisman here. We only are going to have 2 years of him because he's
crazy
gone.
How that was so recent ago, if you really think about it, too.
And we saw that game against an FCS opponent, and everyone was like, national media people too, and we're like, this is the guy. This is the prince that was promised. Ended up not being that way. I think you'd still take the year Nico had from a first-year starter in the SEC. I think if Brandon did the same thing his first year starting, you'd totally sign up for it. But I hope that the fan base and just the people around Tennessee football kind of understand, hey, it's not normal to be really good as a freshman.
Yeah.
No matter if you're a 5-star freshman. This guy seems to have all the tools, all the skills to be what he's billed to be, but it's going to take time. And the best way, in my opinion, to get that time, if the team around him is competent enough, if he has a line, et cetera, is game reps. And I don't think there's anyone on this roster, like you're saying, there's not a Joe Milton like there was for Nico, at least as it looks right now, to be blocking him from playing time when he does get to campus.
Yeah.
I think with Faizon, it's one of those things where we could see him play in the spring game probably. I mean, I don't know how all this works, but expectations are, I wouldn't say as high as Nico, because Nico, he was the first 5-star quarterback in what felt like a while here at the University of Tennessee. And
I also think the price tag with Nico and how public that was, and he was the first of his kind, even added to that. And we don't know what Brandon's going to get, and I think that will help him in the long run as well, but that's not as publicized.
No, 1,000%. And I mean, I think with Brandon, he's one of these guys who you'll see him come in. He has a great chance at starting his freshman year, like the same way that Nico did. And you're gonna see a lot of positives. You're gonna see a lot of negatives. And you kind of have to, take it with the grain of salt because this is a kid that is so young. He literally won the award with the most upside. And I was talking about that earlier, about how all these really, really good quarterbacks in the NFL now, they had all this upside. And I think with Faizon, it's going to be coaching, development, and I do hope that, University of Tennessee football fans do give him a little bit of a longer leash than what they did with Nico. And I think Nico's expectations were just sky high because, like I said, first 5-star in a while. We had that absurdly good season in 2022. The bar was set super, super high for Tennessee football ever since then, especially, too, with all the, recent failures that we kind of had in the 2010s where it was up, down, up, down, up, down. We just want consistency and have a 5-star with this high of a ceiling come in with Faizon Brandon. You're going to expect a lot out of him. And I think that he will ultimately perform at the level that we expect him to. But I also do think that it's about the guys that you bring in, that you surround him with.
Yeah.
Mike Matthews, Boo Carter, will those guys be here when Faizon finally gets that start? I don't know. So I think it's crucial for his development to bring in a really, really good core around him, a better offensive line. Nico had it gifted to him on a silver platter, man. That was the best Tennessee defense we've seen in a really, really long time.
Yeah.
And I think that's another reason, too, as to why Tennessee fans got, sick and tired of all the Nico drama and stuff when he demanded more money, was because he wasn't performing to that level that we needed him to win that national championship. And with Faizon, I think you're going to see the holes early, but you're also going to see the positives early. And we saw that with the guy in Caleb Williams, who first came in. He took the league by storm, but he had a lot of things that he had to work on and retool. And hopefully with Faizon, he'll get that longer leash. They won't bring in a guy to, knock him out of that starting spot, because I do think with Brandon, the more reps you get, the better he's going to get. And I'm super excited. The sky's the limit for this kid. And as for Nico, I think Faizon's going to have a much better legacy here at the University of Tennessee than that guy ever did.
Well, I feel like the bar has been set pretty low now,
It's in the
considering his.
But I don't think Nico has a legacy at all.
Considering his departure. I was cleaning out my room in my old place the other day, and I found my old Nico lay. I'm trying to figure out what I do with that. Tom Luganbill went on to say, quote, "There's a clear trend emerging in Knoxville when it comes to quarterback traits in terms of stature, athleticism, and arm strength. Brandon checks all three boxes. He's very similar to former Vol standout Hendon Hooker and is further along developmentally than Hooker was at Brandon's age. Hooker started 2 seasons at Tennessee in Josh Heupel's offense after transferring from Virginia Tech, where he threw for 6,080 yards, 58 touchdowns, and just 5 interceptions in 24 games with the Vols. And that's a pretty steep comparison. Now, I'm not saying – now, I know what he's trying to say in that – Hooker at this point in his high school career compared to Brandon at this point in his high school career, Brandon has exceeded him in that sense. And before Hooker arrived on campus, this guy was a player that was fighting for a starting position at Virginia Tech. So I think it's a okay comparison. But, kind of throwing Hooker's name in there is a little bit of a tagline. It's sure to get some Tennessee fans riled up. I think if you're saying that Brandon is going to have the type of seasons that Hooker had in his 2 seasons at Tennessee, that is an unfair comparison, because that was a top 5. I mean, that was a top player in 2022 was Hooker of the whole college football season, was 5th in the Heisman odds, Heisman finish. I feel like that's a little unfair, but maybe comparing what you have in high school and pulling some examples of how Hooker could extend plays with his legs. I think Brandon can do the same. Both have good arms, and I think their ball placement on long throws is what could separate him from what we just saw with Nico. Like, Nico was a 25% guy to me. On 1 out of 4 long balls, he'd be able to connect. Hooker was like a 75% guy. And
I think we got spoiled a little bit.
And I think it helps, too, when you have a guy like Jalen Hyatt. Yeah.
Exactly. But if Brandon could be a 50% guy, where, 2 out of 4 long balls are able to connect and you're able to get chunk yardage that way. That's how this Heupel offense can really get back in rhythm. So if he's even a shell of that 75% guy that Hooker was, just give me a 50%. Just hit a couple of deep throws, get in rhythm, and be able to connect with some talented receivers that Tennessee is continuing to bring in, then I could see the comparisons to Hooker even after the high school timeline be accurate.
And one thing, too, about just the scheme fit here and comparing Nico to Hendon to Brandon is that Hendon understood the system and he strived in it. Faizon is another guy that just kind of screams Heupel system. He won the rail challenge here at the Elite 11 camp, and for those who don't know what a rail is, it's essentially kind of like a short go route where you kind of squeeze it in between the deep coverages on like a cover 3 or a cover 2. Just a straight 20-yard dot right down the sideline where you just run with it. And that will translate over into this Josh Heupel offense. And we saw that Nico didn't have it. Milton had it sometimes. But, yeah, exactly what you said, William. If you can complete 50% of those big chunk plays, hell, I'll even take a 2 out of 5. I'll take a 40%. That makes this Tennessee offense so much more dynamic, and it makes the upside for Faizon Brandon that much greater, especially as a draft prospect and as one of the premier quarterbacks in the college football landscape.
Yeah, I think one other comparison is they're both from Greensboro, North Carolina as well.
Yeah.
Look at
So there's another parallel between these two guys, and I'm sure the first game Brandon it starts for Tennessee, there will be a little graphic put up.
Yeah.
Whether it's ESPN or CBS, whoever, I guess not CBS anymore, ESPN who's doing the game will put up saying they're both from there, the measurables, all that. I can already picture it, how these guys are he's the next Hendon Hooker. It's high praise. Certainly, like I said, all these things are good things you want to hear. You'd rather hear this than the alternative. I'd rather hear him compared to Hendon Hooker than Jarrett Garantano or, some of these other, Joe Milton even. So it's great stuff to hear. I do agree with you. I think he is a little more of a scheme fit than maybe Nico was. I think Nico was, we can all kind of be blunt here, a cash grab. I think it was the school that offered him the most money, and now that's played out with all that happened this offseason. This guy seems a little bit more, and maybe it's just proximity-wise that logically it seems, okay, he's a little more interested in being in this system with this coach at this school than just this was the money that was given to me.
Yeah, most definitely. Tennessee starting over at quarterback after Nico Iamaleava left the Vols in April, entering the NCAA transfer portal and heading to UCLA. Heupel countered with the addition of Joey Aguilar, the former Appalachian State quarterback who had transferred to UCLA, but then decided to pack his bags and come to Knoxville. This season, it will be Aguilar battling redshirt freshman Jake Merklinger and freshman George McIntyre for the quarterback job this season. Faizon Brandon still a year to come before he is officially a Tennessee Volunteer. But if Aguilar is the steady quarterback throughout this season and Merklinger and McIntyre don't really get an opportunity, it's going to be a three-way quarterback battle heading into Faizon Brandon's freshman season here on Rocky Top. When we come back, we'll move over to the NBA, talk Thunder and Lightning, as the NBA champions of the 2025 season are the Oklahoma City Thunder. We'll talk about what they will be remembered for, and on the other side, also talk about Tyrese Halliburton and that brutal injury in the early moments of that one last night. So we'll break that down on the other side. Stay right here. It's overtime on a Monday right here on Fan Run Radio.
Are you ready to show off that confident, radiant smile you've always dreamed of? Well, here at Knoxville Smiles, we're ready to turn your dream into a reality. At Knoxville Smiles, we're more than just a dental practice. We're your partners in achieving optimum oral health. From routine cleanings and checkups to advanced cosmetics and restorative procedures, we offer a wide range of services in an environment that makes every visit a positive and comfortable experience. At Knoxville Smiles, it's about more than just treatments. We're focused on creating a welcoming environment where you feel like family. Our state-of-the-art facilities are designed with your comfort in mind, and our friendly staff is always ready to address your questions and concerns. Don't wait any longer to achieve a beautiful smile you deserve. Schedule your appointment at Knoxville Smiles today and take that first step towards a healthier, happier you. Call us at 865-539-1776 to book your appointment today, or just visit our website at knoxvillesmiles.com.
Are you looking for a treat that will knock it out of the park at the next watch party? Just like your favorite baseball team, Crumble brings the best lineup week to week with an expanded roster that includes key lime pie, strawberry cake, or my personal favorite, Monster featuring M&M candies. Let Crumble treat you to the best cookies in the game. Download the Crumble app and start earning rewards. You can even vote monthly on what flavors you would like to see at any store of your choice. Warmer weather is here, so get to the ballpark, but don't miss the cookies.
Barley's has live music on weekends, general team trivia on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m., and now live sports trivia courtesy of the Knoxville Trivia Guys every Thursday night upstairs. The game starts at 7 p.m. and is free to play for everyone, so head on down to the Old City and show off your sports knowledge and win gift cards to Barley's. Use those gift cards to buy some delicious food and drinks, and you can take it all in with their wide selection of TVs and indoor projectors. Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria.
A brand built in Tennessee and born from the love of the game. Inward Half revolutionizes golfing comfort. Crafted by a former pro and dedicated enthusiast just like you, our luxury performance wear guarantees you stay cool and comfortable through every swing and every day. We're not just a brand. We've set out to create a lifestyle for those who understand that impeccable style and premium performance are a hole-in-one. Enjoy the walk-in with Inward Half.
That's right. That's right.
All right, back here on Overtime on a Monday. We appreciate you listening along with us, whether it be on the free Fan Run Radio app, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM right here in Knoxville on the local dial, or on the X/YouTube live stream. However you're listening or watching, we do appreciate your time. All right, let's head over to the NBA as the Oklahoma City Thunder are now authors of one of the greatest seasons in NBA history after narrowly avoiding a stunning upset with the opponent's best player first hobbled and then seriously injured. The Thunder won the franchise's second championship and first since it moved to Oklahoma City from Seattle in 2008 and rebranded from the Supersonics to the Thunder by capturing Game 7 of the NBA Finals over the Indiana Pacers with a 103-91 win on Sunday night. This was a game that had plenty of anticipation coming into it. After the main theme heading into the finals was, two small market teams, the ratings will be terrible. Instead, we got an absolute banger of a series. I mean, I think this is the best NBA Finals since 2021 with Milwaukee and Phoenix. I thought that was a great series, had plenty of moments in that one. And then I'd probably have to go all the way down to maybe 2019, Raptors being the Warriors. I thought that was fun in a sense, just the Warriors being dethroned by that kind of box of misfit toy Raptors team. But 2016 NBA Finals was pretty fun as well, as that one went to 7 games. That was the last Game 7 before last night. But I want to get into what the Thunder will be remembered for. And I think the Oklahoma City Thunder will be remembered for being the best defensive team we have seen in the modern NBA. The Thunder boasted the league's #1 defensive rating during the regular and postseason as a net rating of 106.6. And with their season on the line last night, they suffocated the Pacers into 23 turnovers for 32 points off of turnovers. This is what they have done all season long. They turn you over and turn that into transition offense, and they continue to put the Pacers, without Tyrese Halliburton, into really tough situations. They held opponents under 100 points in an NBA best 19 games this season, led the NBA in steals and deflections, led the NBA in opponent turnovers and opponent points off turnovers, and an NBA that is characterized by offense in 2025. This is a Thunder team that showed that defense still wins championships, and that's exactly what they did last night. Now, was it pretty, and could they have done it a little bit more dominantly? When you looked at the numbers for the Thunder, This was historically a dominant team, 68 wins on the year, and had incredible defensive rating and offensive rating numbers. It probably should not have been as close as it was, but give credit to the Pacers, a gritty team that plays with a hard-nosed mentality, a chip on their shoulder, has an identity of how they want to play. Give them credit. But the Thunder's defense is what got it done last night, and it's what got it done throughout the regular season and postseason. The Thunder will go down as the best defensive team we've seen in the modern era, and I think that's how I will remember this Thunder team. Max?
Yeah, I can't really disagree with you, William. I think the defense is what stood out to me. That's what was the catalyst last night, obviously, in Game 7. They really didn't shoot the ball all that well, struggled from the free throw line. I think if you'd told me pregame, hey, this is what they're going to shoot from the line, I would have thought, obviously not knowing Halliburton gets hurt, but I would have thought, man, that could really have done them in. The defense was so stifling. It kind of almost felt like, like some of those Tennessee basketball defenses where when they want to play hard, they want to play good defense, they really want to shut down an opponent, they can. Like, there's no stopping them. It's more just, do they turn that switch or not? And if they do, good luck. And that's kind of how I felt about this Thunder defense. And last night was no different. That to me is, if you're asking for a signature memory of this 2025 Oklahoma City Thunder NBA champions, it's that dominant defense, the way they constructed this roster, how young they were and still so effective, winning 2 Game 7s as well as a young team against, a Jokic. And then obviously Halliburton goes down, but that's still a formidable Pacers team. Rick Carlisle obviously has been there, done that. I think the resiliency of them, the fact they were able to overcome their lack of experience, especially in big moments. They had a couple times you think that Thunder series or that Nuggets series and this series, they have a chance to close it out. They don't. They have to come back home for Game 7, and both times they rose to the occasion. But that defense was second to none, and a treat to watch. Despite some people enjoying higher scoring games, I enjoyed watching the Thunder play defense.
Out of the top 8 players in the whole NBA in defensive net rating, 7 of them play for the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah.
Cason Wallace has the highest defensive net rating in the NBA with a 99.9. Chet, a close second, 101.4. Caruso, 101.6. The only player that isn't on the Oklahoma City Thunder out of this top 8 is Pascal Siakam at 6 with a defensive net rating of 107.2. Sam Presti has built the perfect team blueprint, and you see other NBA teams, general managers, trying to also build their team the same way that Sam Presti did.
Yeah.
Versatile wings that can defend, can shoot, can dribble, can rebound. That can do a little bit of everything. You look at Jalen Williams. He wasn't a perfect player coming out of college, but he was well-rounded. He could do everything at an average level at the absolute least. And then from there, it's all about player progression. You've seen the progression from Lou Dort. I don't even want to talk about Shea because we all know what his progression has been like. Cason Wallace, Alex Caruso was just, a guy that every championship team would like to have. Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Hartenstein, he's